before we start the video, if you like this video, give this video a like, and if you want to support my channel, subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Okay, so our videos are getting too long, so I'm gonna start recording here. Okay, there we go. It's now starting. Look at that. Okay, so it's now starting. Yes, this is chapter 7 or part 7 of our reaction series in the enduring mystery of Jack the Ripper. And we're going to react to chapter 7 and suspect 1. Yeah, by the look of this, yeah, suspect 1. And next, we'll actually react to suspect 2, 3, and maybe add 4. But hey, I don't know. So yeah, guys, let's go.
Following the murder of Marianne Nichols, a rumor began to circulate that someone called Leather Apron was in the habit of abusing prostitutes.
Oh.
The name quickly made its way into the press, and soon enough it became synonymous with the killer. In fact, Leather Apron was the predominant pseudonym before Jack the Ripper.
Oh.
But the man identified as Leather Apron was soon cleared of all suspicion. His real name was John Picer, and he was in a different part of London on the night when Nichols was attacked.
Oh.
This misguided manhunt is somewhat emblematic of the whole investigation. The police pursued even the most tenuous of leads due to a lack of evidence and mounting pressure from the public. They interviewed thousands, investigated hundreds, and developed numerous theories along the way. In the words of Inspector Frederick Abeline, "Theories. We were lost almost in theories. There were so many of them."
Yeah, knowing that Jack the Ripper did these murders for no reason, and police still hadn't caught him. And yeah, it's weird. And yeah, theories can put you near Jack the Ripper, but can bring you back, because yeah, it's theories. Sometimes they're true, sometimes they're not.
In an effort to narrow down the search, the police used a primitive form of criminal profiling.
Okay.
The idea was to analyze the available evidence to try and gauge what sort of person had committed the crimes.
Oh.
This profile was prepared by Dr. Thomas Bond, and he described the Ripper as a strong, middle-aged man with an inoffensive appearance who dressed respectably. Bond's most controversial assessment was that the killer possessed, quote, "no scientific nor anatomical knowledge."
Ah.
This stood in direct opposition to the opinions of his peers, most of whom ascribed the Ripper with at least a basic understanding of anatomy.
Yeah, because the way he murdered the victims are very weird in a way, because he took off organs that, I don't know what you call that, but organs that is very specific. So yeah.
Based on the witness accounts, the Ripper was a man of average height with a medium to stout build in his late 20s to mid-30s. He wore dark clothes, including a hat of some sort, and had a mustache. But this sort of aggregation or tabulation of accounts can be quite deceptive. Not only are many details inconsistent, but they could be describing entirely different people. For all we know, none of the witnesses ever laid eyes on Jack the Ripper. So much is up for debate that one can build a case against almost any suspect. Some have even entertained the possibility that the Ripper was a woman, or possibly a man disguised as a woman.
That does make sense, because no one has seen or had face to face with the killer. Because, okay, not really face to face, but like saw his face and his build. Because sometimes you just walk around and just maybe you see this person, very suspicious person, they're just walking towards you, and you just look up. Yeah, you didn't encounter him, you didn't see him, and yeah, that's hard. Maybe he was a she. Theories, man.
While Jill or Jackie the Ripper is an interesting theory, it has failed to achieve any widespread support.
Yeah. But why though? If Jack the Ripper was a woman, why she kills other women? That's just weird, and that might actually debunk the theory. So
What is rarely in dispute is that the Ripper was either a resident of or otherwise familiar with the East End. After all, he managed to narrowly evade capture on multiple occasions,
That does make
which
sense.
implies intimate knowledge of byways and patrol routes.
that does make sense.
He likely had some form of employment, as the murders were committed around weekends and public holidays, and he may have had some degree of anatomical knowledge. With this unshakable profile in hand, let's take a closer look at a few suspects. The question is, where do we even begin? According to criminal profiler and FBI Special Agent John Douglas, the Ripper was not only a local, but was likely interviewed by the police. If Douglas is correct, the Ripper might be someone we've already met, either a witness or a person close to one of the victims. What about John Richardson, the witness in the Chapman case who sat down on the backyard steps to trim a piece of leather from his boot?
He can't be, because he has evidence that he left, because we remember that he was just trimming part of his shoe and then left. So he can't be the murderer. So yeah.
Richardson was indeed suspected by the police,
yeah.
but they found, quote, not a shred of evidence against him. His mother also lived on the premises, so he had good reason to be there.
Yeah. Okay, that's the first time. Okay, so another one to debunk the suspicions. First of all, that helmet kind of reminds me from the helmets where the helmets that the Germans used in World War I for some reason. I don't know. Because I just want to tell you guys that I'm learning German. Yes. I'm indeed learning it. I don't know. I got bored and wanted to learn German.
What about George Hutchinson, the witness who followed Mary Jane Kelly after she was accosted by a well-dressed client? Hutchinson never clarified his motivation for shadowing the couple. He merely stated that he was surprised to see a man so well-dressed in the company of a woman like Kelly. Was he surprised because he was concerned? Was he jealous? Was it about money? After all, Hutchinson was broke and the client appeared to be wealthy. Perhaps he waited outside the court with the intention of mugging this well-dressed client.
That's another reason. Might actually be another reason, but he might actually just concerned because and suspicious, because why the hell is this man well dressed is going to be accompanied with a woman like Mary Ann? So I'm not saying that Mary Ann doesn't really look good, but why? That's just weird, you know? Like having a man well dressed accompanied with someone that been living there, or maybe just, I don't know, it's just weird, and he can't be the Jack the Ripper.
There are many question marks surrounding Hutchinson.
Yeah.
He has never been positively identified, so next to nothing is known about his life. This makes it very difficult to build a strong case against him.
Yeah, another
Hutchinson was interrogated by the police, but ultimately convinced Inspector Frederick Abeline that he was telling the truth. But not every witness attracted such attention from the police.
Okay.
Take for instance Charles Cross, the man who discovered the body of Mary Ann Nichols.
Oh. Okay, so we're going to react to suspect 1. Then we might actually straight up react to suspect 2 to 4.
On the morning of August the 31st, Charles Cross left his home on Doveton Street and headed for work.
Oh wait, is this the guy that found the victim laying there, and then there was this guy named John where spot him, and he called out, Charles Cross called out and said there was a victim here, but chose to leave but informed police of the body because they have a job. Okay. Is this guy? Wow,
When he turned into Bucks Row, he happened upon the body of Marianne Nichols. Moments later, he was joined by Robert Paul, and events transpired as previously described. Despite his proximity to the crime, Cross appears to have escaped suspicion from both the press and the police. He was evidently seen as the innocent passerby that he appeared to be.
First of all, that's a long walk. Jeez.
But in recent years, that perception has been challenged.
Okay.
The argument is that Cross was in the act of committing the murder when he was interrupted by the approaching footsteps of Paul. Cross then concealed the murder weapon and portrayed himself as someone who just found the body. The injuries inflicted upon Nichols would be consistent with an interruption, as they were less severe than those of later victims. What's interesting about Cross is that he likely testified under a false name. He claimed to be employed as a carman, and his address was given as 22 Doveton Street. But surviving records show that in 1888, this address was occupied by a man named Charles LEMMiNO.
That's suspicious. Okay.
LEMMiNO was also employed as a carman, and on at least one occasion went by the name Charles Cross, as it was the surname of his stepfather. It is now widely believed that Charles LEMMiNO was the man who appeared at the inquest, and that he assumed the name of his stepfather when he testified. His motivation for doing so has been the source of much speculation. Was he trying to conceal his identity, or was it merely a force of habit? After all, contemporary examples of people doing the exact same thing are not difficult to find. The most compelling evidence against LEMMiNO is that his morning commute between home and work roughly coincides with the time and place of the murders.
That's okay. So, Marianne Nichols, Annie Chapman, Mary Jane Kelly, Martha Tabron. But where's the fifth one? Okay, so...
Except for the murders of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, who were killed on a Sunday, the only day when LEMMiNO would have been free from work. Not only that, but all the murders were committed around weekends and public holidays.
Yeah, he can't be going to work in holidays and in weekends.
Why would a man who supposedly timed the murders with his morning commute gravitate towards days of rest? In any case, LEMMiNO's mother lived a few blocks south of Burness Street, the neighborhoods around which is also where LEMMiNO spent his childhood. As such, it's speculated that Stride and Eddowes were killed after LEMMiNO paid a late-night visit to his mother. While he claimed to be employed at a delivery firm known as Pickford's, there are no surviving records of his employment. If he did work for Pickford's, there is a fair chance that he delivered meat and would thus have been exposed to slaughter and blood on a daily basis. LEMMiNO remained in East London until his death in 1920 at the age of 71. While there is no evidence of LEMMiNO ever being suspected by the police, it is difficult to believe that he was completely overlooked. Many case files have not survived, so any doubts investigators might have had could have long since disappeared.
That's bad. Wow. There was files, but it's gone. Wow. Okay, so that's suspect one.
Now, a witness who definitely attracted attention was Joseph Barnett.
Okay, should we? You know what? I'm alright. Should we? You know what? I'm gonna just react to it. Come on, let's go.
Joseph Barnett was the man who lived with Mary Jane Kelly
Oh, yeah, this
up
is
until a
what
few days before the murder.
Oh, this is the man that did not like the Mary Jane's decision to be a prostitute, and he doesn't like the people she associate with. Okay.
He and Kelly had supposedly met around April of 1887, and they eventually moved to 13 Miller's Court.
Okay.
Barnett was employed as a fish porter, but for reasons unknown, he lost his job between July and August of 1888.
Oh.
From that point onwards, the couple struggled to pay rent, and Kelly resorted back to prostitution.
Oh.
Now, those who believe that Barnett was the Ripper view his loss of employment as a turning point. The argument is that Barnett was so overcome with guilt and anguish for driving Kelly back to prostitution that he went on a murder spree, murdering one local prostitute after another in a desperate attempt to frighten Kelly off the streets. While most of this is pure speculation, it is true that Barnett disapproved of Kelly's prostitution. You may recall that Barnett separated from Kelly on October the 30th because he disliked the prostitutes with whom she associated.
What? So why did he start a widespread killings in East London? Why, if he just broke up with her?
Kelly never went on the streets when she lived with me. She would never have gone wrong again, and I should never have left if it had not been for the prostitutes stopping by the house.
Oh.
This might further explain why Kelly was the Ripper's final and most viciously mutilated victim. The implication being that Barnett felt rejected by Kelly and wanted revenge for the breakup. According to Barnett, he did pay Kelly a visit on the evening of November the 8th, but they had parted on quote, friendly terms.
Oh.
He then supposedly went home, played a card game until 12:30 before going to bed.
Jesus Christ, that's...
Now, Kelly is presumed to have died in the early hours of November the 9th, so Barnett could have returned to Miller's Court sometime after midnight. While the police did subject him to 4 hours of interrogation, Barnett was ultimately released without charge. Then there's the matter of the locked door. When the police arrived at Miller's Court, they had to force the door open with a pickaxe. This raised an important question. How did the killer lock the door behind him? According to Barnett, the key to room 13 had been missing for some time.
Oh.
Because of this, he and Kelly would, quote, open the door by reaching through the broken window. The door was said to be equipped with a, quote, catch lock, and evidently locked itself upon being closed.
Oh.
If that's true, mystery solved. But even if the door was not self-locking, there's still an obvious solution. All the killer would have had to do is observe Kelly using the window trick and then employ that same technique to fasten the door upon leaving. But those who favor Barnett as the Ripper offer yet another solution. The key never went missing.
Oh.
Instead, Barnett is said to have stolen the key and then used it on the night of the murder. These solutions are all equally valid, and it's impossible to know which one is correct. There is a slight variation of this theory which states that Barnett did murder Kelly, but was not the Ripper. Instead, he merely emulated the Ripper to deflect attention away from himself.
That could be a argument, because he could have just emulated Jack the Ripper just to kill her. Because why are you going to start killing other prostitutes that didn't even like, I don't know, minded your business? Why did he start a killing spree in East London? So he could have just emulated Jack the Ripper and killed her brutally. And yeah, but the but the stealing lock though, I don't know.
Once again, this is pure speculation,
speculation again.
but the murder of Kelly did somewhat differ from the rest in that it was committed indoors. Barnett remained in the East End until his death in 1926 at the age of 68.
The suspect gone.
While it's only natural for suspicion to fall upon witnesses and acquaintances, Victorian detectives did pursue other lines of inquiry.
Okay.
One prominent theory was that the Ripper suffered from insanity, and the prime suspect in that category is Aaron Kosminski.
Oh. Okay, guys. This is going to be the end. We did a lot there. I just ended the recording. We did a lot there. We reacted to Chapter 7, Suspect 1 and Suspect 2. Now, in the last, it's going to be Suspect 3 and 4. So, thank goodness, I have got to react to Suspect 2 because my plan was to react to Suspect 2 to 4, but I just realized it makes it too long, so I'm gonna just react to these two and maybe the outro too. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be the end. Like, subscribe for more videos like this, and the next video is going to be the last episode of our series in the enduring mystery of Jack the Ripper. Okay, guys, tschüss. German of goodbye or bye. Okay, bye.